Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into a topic so many of you have asked about. It's about aging naturally with grace, with strength, because that's important, and confidence. And I'm very happy to be joined by Juliana Spaven today, who is passionate about this topic. And she will share with us full insights that will challenge, the outdated narratives around aging. And I really hope this conversation will inspire you to embrace yourself with more self-love, because this is all about self-love, right? Self-respect and honor and all of that. So if this resonates with you, please like the video, subscribe, and share with a friend who may want to hear this too. So let's begin. So Juliana, we would really be happy to know a little bit more about you, your story, and how you got on this journey of aging naturally, which is really in sync with my perspective too. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more.
Sure. So I'm Juliana. I live right outside of Washington, D.C. in Virginia. I've been here for almost about 10 years, but I have traveled all over the world. I grew up in Chicago. I've lived in Europe. I've lived in Southeast Asia. I've lived in India. I've lived everywhere, traveling all over the world. And it really kind of endeared me to, I think growing up in the United States, you have this mentality that Western medicine is it, that what's the dogma of the day is it. And once you start to get beyond that and travel and see how the rest of the world moves and operates, you realize that you don't want to throw everything out from Western, but there's a balance, and a balance more towards what's natural and what's aligned with how we were designed to live and breathe and function and thrive on this planet. And so as I grew, in my experiences and my travels and all that stuff, I started taking bits and pieces of knowledge that I learned from all of these different cultures and kind of incorporated it into my own. And right around that time period, this was like in my late 30s, early 40s, I decided I finally was ready to have kids. I had postponed it. I was on this adventure streak for my life for so long, living all over the world, experiencing different cultures, all this kind of stuff. And I finally said, okay, the one thing I haven't experienced is what it's like to actually be a mother, to be a life force. So I had my daughter at 41, and then a couple of years later, I had my son at 45. And that for me, I'm holding my son. He's brand new. I'm walking out of the hospital, and I'm like, I'm 45. I got to figure out how to age well, because you do the math, and when he's 20, I'm 65, and it just. And when you think about it, that started the whole mindset shift for me of like, I'm middle age, and the prognosis for middle age is not good, particularly in the United States. Something has to shift. Something has to change. And once I decided that was going to be me, I wasn't going to be okay with being frail. I wasn't going to be okay with, not participating with my son in sports or whatever activities you want to do because I was older. I was like, oh, no, I'm not accepting that. And that started this mindset shift for me. And then it became this thing that my friends, you're almost 50, or you're 51, or you're 52, and you look fantastic and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just tell my friends what I'm doing. That's really what I started, was my Instagram was just kind of a way to say, hey, listen, this is how I take care of my hair. I do this and this and that, or I take these supplements, or I do this, or I exercise this way, or, I think weight training is really important. So I started this small little Instagram channel, and all of a sudden I turned around and I have like a lot of followers, because people are like, I want to know what you're doing. I want more of this, and I'm so cognizant that my message isn't for everyone, and that's fine, because we have, the one thing that we have that's ours is free will. We get to choose how every day is going to unfold, how we're going to unfold in our lives, how we're going to be today, in 5 years from now, and 30 years from now. That is our individual choice. So this is, I make content that is not necessarily for everyone, but for women who are really interested in saying, wait, there is some deep-rooted, authentic wisdom that we've walked away from, and I want to know more about that. That's what I'm all about, right? And so I have 6 pillars of aging well naturally. These are things that I do and incorporate in my daily life that I follow to look and feel the way I am. Today, I'm 54. I'm really proud of my age. I talk about it all the time. I don't hide it. I don't believe in being like, oh, I'm 46 or 40. No, I don't believe in lying. I embrace my gray hairs, excuse me, my silver highlights, because, I want to show the world this is what 54 can look like. Yes. And I lost my train of thought. But
no, what? But you have your 6 pillars that I would be really happy to know about. But just before we dive into the 6 pillars that you will share with us, I would be interested in your thoughts about elegance and confidence, because that's sort of my topic. And because through aging naturally and through what you are saying, not only being able to have the strength, the body strength for your children, but also to show up as a woman, I mean, in your femininity. And I would love that you share your thoughts around elegance and how it also helps you to have confidence in yourself, in your femininity, in your body, in who you are. Because let's be clear, when we are at this middle age, around 50, I mean, we have lived a lot of life. So we have the experience, we have the wisdom, we have gone through a lot. And so we have this perspective and view on life that we don't have in our 20s and in our 30s. And so that's part of our strength too. And so all of that piled up with your wisdom, all your knowledge about aging naturally. And how do you feel? Can you say a little bit about your own elegance, how you feel in your body, and how that gives you confidence? Do you have something to share about that?
Sure, absolutely. So for me, being elegance is just being mindful of how I want to look, feel, and act in this world. I feel like so often we are just going through life and we're reacting to it. We're not stopping. We're not responding. We're not setting the intention for who I want to be today. How do I want to show up? How do I want to move through this world? I've been gifted with this unbelievable vehicle, my body. Yes. And it's my device to interact with other bodies on this planet. And it's my device to show up and reflect everything that I feel on the inside. Mm-hmm. So if I'm being authentically true to who I am and what feels right for me, it's going to reflect outwardly and it's going to impact others, right? So that is a very broad definition of what elegance to me means. But if I had to boil it down to, just a couple words, it's becoming the very best version of myself every day, looking, feeling, and acting how I want to be, not being reactive, but being thoughtful, intentional, and responsive to whatever life throws my way. And, there's this notion, I want to jump back and say 2 things about aging well. There's this notion, and I feel like a lot of times I will get some followers and they'll be like, but you have wrinkles. And I'm like, yes, sweetheart, I have wrinkles. I'm 54. I have silver highlights. I'm not dyeing my hair, and I'm not going to go get some crazy facelift or whatever to erase what I have. This is about embracing that I've had 54 years on this planet, and God willing, I will have more. But I'm not trying to hide my years. I am trying to look the very, very best I can for my age. I talk about aging optimally in this space of, how do we embrace that? It is not about looking like Kris Jenner with, her new face that she bought, or, that's not my deal. I realize that there are people out there who find that incredibly attractive. And so I have often said, please maybe go follow them instead of me, because I am really about embracing what we have, about working with nature and with, our bodies and alignment and everything to have the very best experience at our age. But mark my words, I will grow older looking over time. I'm going to be absolutely okay with that. But that's an important thing for me to stress about aging well naturally. The other thing, and I forgot to mention, is, and this ties in with confidence, is it was right around my 52nd birthday. And I decided I was going to go live one of my dreams that I'd had since I was a teenager. I grew up in the 80s, and I grew up with Cindy and Linda and Christy and Naomi. And I was like, I'm going to be a model, right? So at 52, I went and got headshots, or test shots as they're called. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm positive that, the people in my life kind of looked at me and were thinking like, who does she think she is? And all this stuff. And I was like, I don't care. I literally don't care. I mean,
I
I'm going to
live
be
life fully.
well, yeah, and I'm like, you know what? If I fail, that's okay. At least I tried, right? At least I went for it. And it has surprised me and wowed me so much. I've done so many fun campaigns. I did a Lancome shoot last fall. I've done campaigns for United. I've done campaigns for health companies. I mean, it's just been so much fun. It's such joy. It is to that point of, this is what it looks like at 54. If you take care of yourself and you're really well intentioned about it, this is one of the outcomes of that is being able to do something that you've always dreamed of. And for so long I was like, oh, I'm too short, or, oh, they don't like my look or whatever. And I talked myself out of greatness. And it was just so nice at 52 to recognize, like, no, there's no clock here. There's a clock in here, and that's a limiting belief. And I can change that at any time. So that was a really fun moment in my life that helped me kind of just, solidify in my roots on aging well naturally, because I was like, I'm a model. Okay. All right. I guess I'm doing something right here.
Yes, that's wonderful because, I knew you were a model, but I forgot to ask you if you wanted us to say it. So it's perfect. And that proves that, you can then, with the wisdom that you have at your age now, being unapologetic and not caring about what people think. This is a strength that we can absolutely cultivate or have much more easily at our age than we would have in our 20s or, at a younger age. So this is fantastic. Now, I would be really curious that you walk us through your 6 principles, because for the women watching here, I think it's really important and interesting and uplifting to hear something that is like really squared, so that we don't get mixed up, and it's not just aging naturally. It's not just a concept, but something that we have to be reminded, because in your principles there is a lot of natural and logical things, but we have to be reminded, because in our world today, we listen to so many different things. Sometimes we just, common sense is not always common practice. So it's important sometimes just to come back to ourselves and say, okay, who am I right now? What do I want? What do I feel inside? And what do I need? I remember, this is a little parenthesis, but I remember like 15 years ago listening to a coach. And at that time, that coach said, well, sometimes you're thirsty, but you're still on your chair in front of your laptop and you don't get up and get a glass of water. And he was like telling people, okay, when you're thirsty, now go drink. And it just felt, well, this is where we're going, we're heading, because we lost our, sometimes we lose sight of just the natural basics. And also there are a lot of things that we don't know, and that today we know all about because of science that went forward. And to enrich also, and to consolidate and to validate all of these common sense practices that have been practiced for sometimes generations. And I just remember that when I was small, I remember that my grandmother, she took cold showers all her life, every single morning at 7:00. And she would have this old-fashioned, I don't know how to call it in English, scrub, like a towel that she would rub her body to exfoliate, or to, I don't know how you say that, but very hard, and just like you would do body brush. But hers, I remember, it was what we call in French gants de crin, which is, crin is a, like, strong fibers, and it sort of hurts to rub. And she would take her shower this way. I have my grandfather at 90 years old. He still played tennis. He didn't play a lot. I mean, it was like 15-20 minutes, but he still, and until 90 years old, he still worked out, and he did like a sort of a split. I mean, he got his body stretched, and he could stretch his legs out to almost like a full split, like a dancer. I mean, and he had these little lifts, and I watched all of that when I was small, and I realized a couple of years ago, when I started to get into that natural care, well, that it wasn't new, in fact, because I saw my grandparents do that. And I have my other grandmother who lived until 109, and she just walked every single day. I mean, she walked and walked and walked, and when she did her shopping, had to go just to get some bread, she would walk. So it was part of her routine. So,
right. And this is the thing that is just so, I'm so struck by it. You know, I spent a number of years living in Los Angeles, where you drive everywhere. I remember that there was a grocery store literally 200 meters from my house, but I would drive there because what am I going to do with my groceries? I have to carry them, and I'm wearing heels and a dress. So I'm going to drive to the grocery store. And this becomes such a pattern, and we forget to do the very basic things that our bodies so desperately need and crave for us to be in, like, aligned with how we're supposed to walk and move and thrive on this planet. And when you take that away, okay, it's more convenient, but your back hurts because you haven't been moving, or your hips hurt, or your knees hurt, or you've got this and that, and it's your body telling you, hey, we need to go back to basics. We need to go back to basics. Yeah. So it's so funny, but I love all this because, you know, every once in a while, I feel like I'm the oddball out. I take I have a plunge tank in my house, and I do a sauna and cold plunge every single morning. And I'm like, is it just me? I feel like I'm the only one doing it. And then I hear about you. I'm like, oh, okay. No. Just like, you know, up to 3 days ago, I was really, really tired. It was really, really late. But because these days I worked a lot, but and then I was going through discouragement because things were not working technically, well, whatever, and it was around midnight, and I just could feel that I had these emotions to process, right? Because it was quite frustrating, and my body was sort of stiff because I had done a lot of computer stuff. And it was midnight, so normally I should have gone directly to bed, right? But then I really asked my body, okay, what do I really need right now? And I just wanted to stretch. So I did 25 minutes of yoga, and it just felt so good. And then I asked myself, okay, what do I need right now? Meditation. Oh my goodness. And it took me like, okay, 45 minutes, but I left completely the discouragement. I was back together again to, okay, this is going to work. I'm doing the best I can, and it's going to be great. And I could feel my body relief. I could feel that the blood, you know, when I sit a long time on my chair, then the blood in my legs doesn't circulate. I mean, it's just logical, right? So I know it was midnight, but the time I took to get my emotions back to myself, to get my body back to some kind of relief, that was, and I just could sleep. I fell asleep happy, whereas an hour before I was just freaking out, like people say, you know. I was really discouraged. So all of this, I'm just sharing these little
little things that we do. I do that you probably do too. But I mean, it's all about, okay, how do I feel? Coming back to what do my body want right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's 100%. I do this. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I kind of sit there and I'm like, I feel like I've got a lot of energy. That was last night. I woke up at 2 and I had a lot of energy. So I did some gentle stretches and then I did a meditation, and I just got into this really beautiful space of just not thinking about all the things I wanted to think and just being able to shut off my brain. And I don't know about you, but when I go into meditation, I can literally feel my brain waves changing. I can feel
Yes,
myself going from
automatically.
to and then it just feels different, and then it just feels so expansive as I'm thinking about absolutely nothing. It's so
Yes.
powerful. And then I come out of my meditation and I'm like, I'm in such a good place. And I just hit my pillow and boom, I wake up.
Yes. And
I don't even, and it's
yes,
so good.
yes, it's so good. But just to mention the last thing, and you're going to go and share your 6 pillars about this, because this is very important. This is practice. It's not harder than anything else. It's just about practicing every single day. And the more you practice and you habituate, you reprogram your body to feel those elevated emotions every single day, without mentioning what's happening in your environment. I mean, you can go through bad weather in your life, but practicing every single day, even whatever is happening outside, going inside and getting quieting the mind and getting into those elevated emotions, then when things get hard, then your body is so used to doing it every single day, then you just put on your headphones, and sometimes I don't even have to listen to the guided meditation. I just hear the voice that's so familiar to me that I just go directly, in 3 seconds I'm there. Like, I know you and I were fans of Dr. Joe Dispenza, but I also listen to a lot of other people who do terrific meditations. But just to mention that it's a practice. It's just like learning a language or learning an instrument. And it's not that hard. The hardest thing is to take the time to do it. The hardest thing is to listen to what your heart and body asks for.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, let's dive into the 6 pillars of aging well, because I could talk to you all day. I will go through them very quickly and then break them down a little bit more. It's the right mindset, number one. That's the most important. Then alignment, eating real foods, the art of sleep, clean beauty, and connection. So let me just break those down. Number one, the mindset. So I feel like so many times, we women in particular, we are responsible for everyone else. We run the household. We are in charge of scheduling. We're the planners, and we focus on everyone else except for ourselves. And we do not set the intention for what we want for ourselves. And so I ask my audience, my followers, I'm like, have you set the intention for how you're going to age? Have you thought about what 30 years from now, what your life is going to be like? Because if you don't, I promise it's going to unscript, or it's going to unfold for you, and it might not be in the way you want. So let's get ahead of this. Get ahead of the horse on this cart, and really start to think about, with intention, who do I want to be? What do I want to look like? What do I want? How do I want to move? If I'm so blessed to be here at 85, what does that look like? Start to paint that picture and work backwards. And do not let yourself be told you can't, that you can't change. Your body is incredibly powerful and so adaptable. It will do anything. You want to learn how to do the splits? Do you want to learn how to do 10 push-ups? You want to do 10 pull-ups? You want to learn how to do pistol squat? Whatever it is, play tennis at 90. You can do it. You have to set the intention and make it happen. So it really does come from this mindset around, I'm going to age well naturally. I'm going to accept that as my new belief. I'm going to throw all these things that I keep reading and seeing on social media. Oh, my back hurts. It's just a part of getting, aging or getting older. No, I'm not accepting that. Start there. Then the next one is alignment. And this is posture, nature, and movement, which is a really big part too. So everything is connected. When we are aligned the way we're supposed to, literally the way our body is designed to be stacked in this world, how we show up in our body. When we're aligned with nature, when we're aligned with movement, as we were designed to move our body, we move into flow, and we move into this graceful state of constant flow, connection with the earth, connection with the way our body is meant to move. And it shows up on our face. I mean, you've seen people who are, holding energy in their back or here in their chest, or they've got the rounded shoulders because something's wounded them in their chest. And whoops, it shows up. My screen just slipped. It shows up in their bodies, and you can change that. You can adapt and change your body based on how you're aligned in your body overall. Trauma does have an impact on the body. It does, you do hold trauma in your body, but you need to release it. And so you need to work on that as well. Number 3, real foods. Oh my gosh. We live in a world of convenience and big farming, and what we really need is a return to the basics, where we grew food, we cooked it, we had a relationship with the food, we knew where it came from, and we celebrated it as we cooked it and ate it with our families. And that is what I strive to do every single day. I think one of the most important things we can teach our offspring is how to cook.
Yes.
How not to be afraid of garlic, here's how to chop an onion. I mean, these basic things, but if you know how to cook, you unlock a world of health. Yes. And it's what your body needs to thrive. The art of sleep. We are, again, our culture is so, we can stay up, New York is the city that never sleeps. We can stay up. We've got pills, we've got parties, we've got all kinds of things, lights, everything to keep us awake all night, to have great dopamine, fired experiences, but that's actually working completely against us. And what we need is to prioritize sleep. And the beauty of sleep is a theme that I talk about all the time, because you can do almost anything with a good night's sleep and a sharp mind, and you can do almost nothing with no sleep. It is the humbler, the universal humbler for everyone.
Yeah. And I'm just going to hop in there, right there, because so I said I was really busy these last days. Well, I take naps. And yesterday I was super, super busy, but I walked an hour and I took a nap, because there's no way around it. I mean, that's the way it is. And even I met when my children were smaller, sometimes I met women who had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 children. And we all know, how do you do it? Everyone takes naps. I mean,
yeah. We are the only species. This is so fascinating to me. We are the only species on this planet. So I want you to think about the millions of species on this planet. We're the only species on this planet that regularly deprive ourselves of sleep. Mm-hmm. I mean, no other species, when they're tired, they sleep. Look at
the lions, right? The lions,
right? Or your pet. My dog is famous for sleeping 18 hours a day. But like animals know when they're like, oh, I'm tired, I'm out. And we're the ones that are like, no, but you know what? I have another project I have to do, or oh my god, I have to get back to this email, or I have to. We need to listen to what our body is telling us, so that we can actually unpack and relax and be the very best version of ourselves, going back to aging well naturally.
Yes, right? and actually creating space for our soul and our heart, so that we can then be inspired for the next actions and the next projects that are really meaningful, and not losing ourselves into, as you were saying, the emails and the stuff and the things, because this never stops. So learn to come back and create space for ourselves. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Then next on another pillar in my Aging Well program is clean beauty. And so listen, cosmetics have been around for thousands of years. In this era, in what we live in, our cosmetics are now filled with parabens and phthalates and PFAS chemicals and plastics and all kinds of things that we know our bodies ingest. and are toxic for us, and they age us. We weren't designed to smear microplastics on our face and let that absorb into our skin and then think, oh, that's not going to have an impact on how my skin breathes, looks, feels, and I'm just still going to be able to have that glow from within. It doesn't work that way. So
I love the way you say it. Smear microplastics on your face. That's exactly.
But it's true. I mean, the vast majority, and I see this when I'm modeling. I will go and I'll have my makeup done, and the vast majority of products out there, I'll have someone say, "Oh, this is waterproof mascara. Oh, this is waterproof foundation. It's not going to come off for 18 hours." I'm like, "Do you know why? Because there's microplastics in there that are sticking to my skin, like PFAS chemicals and stuff. That I'm like, ugh. Yeah, and so for me, it's like, okay, fine. If you want to put it on me for, 4 hours, I'm going to wash it off as soon as the shoot's done. But then I think about the people who buy this product regularly and use it every day. I'm like, oh, there's a better way. There is a better way. Nature gave us ingredients that we can use, and the science is there today to make clean beauty products that are effective and don't tax your system in a negative way. So I'm really big on clean beauty products. And the final thing is connection with ourself, most importantly, with our community and with a higher power. If you do not, if you call it Allah, if you call it God, if you call it, whatever your source, I don't care. No one's questioning, everyone's fighting about the name. No one's questioning if there is actually a higher power. I mean, from the scientists all the way down to the physicists, everyone's just saying there is a higher power. Get in touch with it. Get in touch with yourself. Have that conversation with yourself. I feel particularly the women, we are, designed to be people pleasers, designed to serve, designed to put everyone else first. And we never really ask, what do I want? And there's that whisper, and it starts to become louder as you get into your 6th decade, you turn 50. And if you haven't asked that question, it's going to ask it of you, because time is running out and you're here for a reason, a purpose. And if you haven't unpacked that, it's coming. It's coming. So I think those are the six pillars. There are obviously smaller ones. Like, I'm a huge fan of biohacking concepts like sauna and cold plunge. But those, to me, fall under my 6 pillars in some different way. What I did want to talk about was examples of how I put aging well into practice. So the first one I'm going to start with is, this manifesting mindset. So about 7 years ago, I'm like 48, and I was noticing I was really hitting kind of, my sleep started getting really bad. I started gaining weight. I was grumpy and irritable all the time. And I just was like, and then I kind of stopped for a moment, and I was like, I don't even like who I am right now. What is going on? Do I even want to be this person? And I started doing work on me. I was like, who do I want to be? How do I want to change my life? If I'm going to be this great, grandmother to my son's children, my son I had at 45, right? What do I have to do today to be that person 30 years from now? And I recognized that I was abdicating all my power to doctors and to prescription medications when I'm the only one that's really in charge here.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one that's dealing with the consequences of those decisions that other people are making for me that I'm accepting. So I was like, wait, hang on a second. If this doesn't make sense to me, I don't think I'm going to do it. And I just completely started shifting my mindset around what's possible, around how I want to look, how I want to feel, how I want to take care of myself. I mean, I did a video a couple of months ago about me doing push-ups, and I can crank out 30 push-ups. I'm not bragging. I've worked on it. And, but there was a time I couldn't do one. I remember that not too long ago. And I just decided I was going to do this. I was going to do it, and it's that mindset. That's why it's the first pillar of my Aging Well Naturally Foundation. I decided I was going to learn how to do pull-ups. I'm never going to stop trying to challenge my body, trying to figure out how do I grow? How, what else is out there for me to experience and, discover. So that's one example. Another one is I talk all the time about using beauty superfoods. This is so foundational. Nature has given us everything we need. So if you're looking to brighten your skin, if you're looking to clear up acne scars, papaya, pineapple, ginger. I mean, these are your best, turmeric. These are your best friends. Go explore. Like, there are so many, and we've known this for thousands of years. We've conveniently forgotten it because Big Pharma walks in and says, "Oh, let me write you a prescription for that, and then I can charge you $70, and your insurance will pay for it, but I get to make money." But turmeric, is a fraction of the cost. Papaya tastes amazing, and it's so good for your skin. It's these secret, forgotten pieces, nuggets of wisdom that I come back to, and I'm like, tell me about garlic. What can I do for my skin?
Yes, garlic. I use essential oils a lot, and really massage. Specific acupuncture massage points also, because I'm a kinesiologist, so I've learned a lot about some stuff. So I practice all of that too. Yes.
So anyway, those are just a couple examples of how I bring those pillars of aging well to life. And I talk about this all the time on my channel, and I'm very cognizant that my audience wants to know more and get deeper into the weeds. So I'm working on it. But it's a wonderful journey to discover how, I truly believe that nature gave us everything we need to age well naturally. And it's kind of almost like we want to get out of our own way and let nature do her thing and just lean back into ancient wisdom.
Yes. And pause a moment to be able to then be intentional and say, okay, pause. What's going on right now in my life? What can I do? Because if we never just stop to think about it, then there will always be something to do and something to fix and somebody's agenda to fill, right? Because we fill everyone's agenda. So it's really important to just stop. And what I usually say also to my clients, because they're, what can I do? Well, sometimes the answer is stop doing and start receiving, because the receiving mode is the feminine energy. And if we want to understand, if we want to receive our heart's calling, receive and listen to what we want and our body and everything, we've got to practice. We've got to practice knowing ourselves. We've got to practice being our best friends. We've got to practice going inside and doing all those little things. And sometimes it's about stopping first to listen, and then get those inspired actions to do the push-ups, the whatever you want to do, right? But at first, okay, what do I want? Who am I? What do I want to do? What does my body say? What are the ideas coming through my mind? And then being soft with ourselves and putting in some self-love to then, okay, gently, let's start. Okay. Or if we're already on this path, then what does our heart sing? In which direction, right? How fun. I like this sentence that I've been using for a while now, is how fun would it be to, whatever, you have a to-do list on your day. Doesn't mean that you're not going to do it. It's just that mindset, how fun could it be to have this list done for today? And in what order? What would I want to start with? How fun could it be to take care of myself? How fun could it be to listen and to pause? How fun could it be to feel inspired and motivated? All that things. So, do you have anything else on your list to share with us?
It's so funny. You're asking, how fun could it be? And my wisdom, I guess the question I always ask myself is being brave enough to say, what if? What if this could happen? What if I could do 10 push-ups? What if I could do, like right now I'm working on a pistol squat. I don't know if you know what that is. It's you're on one foot, you've got the other foot straight out, and you just sit down so your bum hits the floor, but you're in control, and then you stand back up. It's really tough. But I've decided I'm going to do a pistol squat because I can't do it, and I'm going to do it. And,
how fun would it be?
But really, honestly, for me, it's just setting those goals and just saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, and it's going to be a struggle, because it always is at first. And then it becomes, at some point, it doesn't become a struggle. It becomes just, oh, I did it. awesome.
It's like,
And it's just such joy for me. So, whatever it is, what if, I could inspire a whole cadre of women to age well naturally? Like, how amazing would that be? What if I inspired a whole bunch of women to reach in, think about their future, and start to set the intention for aging well naturally? And they did that. How cool would that be? So that's the stuff that I think about. That's the wisdom I try to take with me every day as I think about
and it
how I
drives
want
you.
to show up. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's that when I think about what's the best version of me that I want to bring forward. Well, it definitely includes that's the North Star. It definitely includes that. So
Yes. Yes. And can you share with us where we can find you and your projects or what's going on in your aging well professional world?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram, aging well, silver highlights 1971. I'm also on TikTok, the same handle. My YouTube channel is sputtering, but getting to life there. And I've got a website, silverhighlights1971.com. It is under transformation. So if you don't find everything that you need there, come back in a couple of months and it'll be up and running. But we're doing big things. There's a whole bunch of projects in the works that I'm super excited about. And so we're moving forward. And I can't wait to share more aging well naturally strategies with people who follow me and who are interested in discovering how they can do it for themselves.
No, that's fantastic. And I just loved all what you shared, and I love the energy and it's stupid, but I love the accent with you. you talk, because I'm French, and listening to some American accents or some people speaking English is a great pleasure for me. I just love the way you express yourself, and thank you so much also for sharing all of this deep wisdom, and also it's so practical. And you just mentioned, well, am I the only one doing this crazy stuff? Well, no. And I think it's really important that the audience, or the woman watching, sees that, okay, if she's doing it, then maybe I can do that too. And I know from my perspective, on my personal path, when I saw people just telling about what they were doing, telling about their struggles, but also their wins, well, it inspired me so much. And somehow inside of me, I was telling myself, okay, so she or he said that they struggled at first just like me, but they got there. So it's normal. It's going to be maybe a little bit hard at first to get into the zone, etc. But then they did it. So why not me? And so that's how powerful a simple video can be. And I want to add on my side right now, because I'm doing a 5-day free Elegance challenge that is starting June 23rd, so next week. It's Monday 23rd through Friday 27th. And it's all about, so it's not about aging naturally, because that's sort of your specific topic, but it's about really diving into our personal elegance, our personal confidence to really uplift our lifestyle, but at all levels. So we're going to see everything around, as it's not superficial, but as simple as dining etiquette, but also a closet, decluttering, wardrobes, outfits, but also the deep mindset, the foundations of true heart-centered elegance, how to get organized, the little rituals of our day that we need to stick in that really elevate our life, and relationships, also how to say no to people, but in an elegant way, how to have these healthy boundaries without being a people pleaser. Oops. All right. Without being a people pleaser, without sounding a little cheesy, or getting drained by well, in life we meet a lot of people. So we've got to how to be yourself, aligned to who you are, heart, body, and soul, and bring up this feminine energy, this natural elegance that we all have. And so this challenge is going to be free. Well, it's free, and it's going to be amazing because of all the content that I'm actually preparing right now. So I'll put the link under the video. I'll put also Juliana's links under this video in the description. And so thank you so much, Juliana.
Oh my God, my pleasure. I can't wait to share with my audience about how to, move through life with more elegance and more confidence and just an overall knowing of, this is who authentically I am. I think more than a few women are still questioning, what's my purpose, and am I doing this right, and asking those types of questions. And I think this would be really great for them. So I'm excited to share your content with my audience and see how that resonates with them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh my gosh,
and
my pleasure.
Share, subscribe for all the people who are watching. And thank you for being here. Bye-bye.